Hi, this is Samira. Welcome to session on Cisco IOS. In this session, we would take a look at what is Cisco IOS or Cisco's Internetwork operating system. Then we will take a look at how does a Cisco router looks like and what are the various interfaces present in the Cisco router. Then we would move on to the router's booting process. That is, whenever you switch on the router, what are the various steps that the router goes through before it boots up completely. Then we will take a look at the basic commands that you can use on the Cisco devices, and we will also take a look at the different modes of the command line interface and where you can execute which kind of commands. And finally, we will take a look at the password recovery. So let us begin with the session. Next, let us move on to Cisco IOS. Cisco IOS or Cisco Internetwork operating system is the kernel of Cisco's routers and most devices. You can connect to the Cisco device to configure the device, verify the configurations made on the device, and check the statistics using the command line interface or via a GUI. The Cisco IOS by default is stored and booted from the flash. After booting, it looks for a valid startup configuration which is stored by default in NVRAM. NVRAM is non-volatile RAM. Next, let us move on to Cisco device booting process. Whenever you switch on a Cisco device, the first step that will happen is post. Post is power on self-test. Post is used in order to test the hardware to verify whether all of the components present on the device are operational and are present. Example, post would be used to check for different interfaces on a router. The post is stored and it is run from ROM. Next, once post is done, Bootstrap looks for and loads iOS software. Bootstrap is a program which is stored on ROM, and Bootstrap is responsible for locating where the iOS is being stored. By default, on all Cisco devices, the iOS is going to be loaded from the flash. iOS then looks up for a valid configuration file which is stored in NVRAM. This configuration file is called as the startup config. If the configuration file is present in NVRAM, then the router is going to boot with the contents of the NVRAM. If the valid startup configuration file is not found in NVRAM, then in that case, the router will search by broadcasting if the configuration file is stored in the TFTP server on that network. If the router finds out that the configuration file is present on the TFTP server, then in that case, the router's iOS is going to take up the startup configuration file which is stored in the TFTP server and will load the configurations from the startup configuration file in the TFTP server. In case if the startup configuration file is not found on the TFTP server as well, then in that case the router is going to start from the basic management setup mode. Okay, in the basic management setup mode, you can configure a few limited configurations via the command line. If you want to get out from the setup mode, then in that case you have to press a Ctrl+C. That will take you out from the setup mode and you will enter into the command line interface of the router. Next, let's take a look at the various router interfaces. So the image that you can see here, this is how your router would look like. The router has got different types of interfaces which are present. you would find an on off. This is a power on off switch which is present. You can power on or off your device using this switch. Next, you have got a few ports here. Okay, so the two of them which are labeled as FE, these are the fast Ethernet ports. Now, depending upon the series of the router that you are using, you would have either fast Ethernet ports or gigabit Ethernet ports present. Also, the number of ports which are present would depend upon your series of router that you are using. The router that you can see here, this is 1841 series router. Then you can see these ports labeled as console and auxiliary. The console port is used when you want to connect your router to the computer from where you are going to do configurations on the router. Okay, so you would be using a roll cable which is shown here. The roll cable will have on one side a RJ45 connector. This connector you are going to plug inside the console port, and the other side is the serial connector. This you will plug inside the computer's serial port. Okay, and then from the computer you can do a putty to the router in order to get the command line interface of the router. You can configure the settings on the router using your computer. Next is the aux cable or the auxiliary port that you can see here. If you do not want to connect your router directly to your computer, your router might be present on some other network and your computer is present on some other network. Then in such cases, you might want to connect your router to the computer via the network. Okay, so you would be connecting a modem to your router. Okay, that modem you will connect in this auxiliary port, and then you can configure the router from the computer over the network. Then you have got two slots present here, slot 0, slot 1. In these slots you can insert different types of interface cards. You also have got this slot that you can see. This is the flash drive. Here is where your iOS is loaded. Okay, so your iOS would be present on the flash, which is going to be inserted in this slot that you can see here. We'll take a look at the router and packet tracer. So this is the packet tracer. So you would be having different tools present. Okay, and on the bottom left you can see different types of devices that are present. You can click on different devices, you will get the different series of that particular device here. So if you want a router, click on router, you would be able to see the different series of router which are present in this packet tracer version. Packet tracer is just a simulator. Okay, so if you want to practice configurations on your devices instead of using actual devices, you can use this simulator for your practice. Here you can see you have got different series of routers present. For CCNA, we would be just focusing on 1841. So we'll drag 1841 router and we'll place in our workspace. This is the workspace where you can simply drag any device you want and place it in the workspace. We'll click on the router. You need to double click on the router. That is going to open up the screen for you. You can zoom in to get a bigger view of your device. So this is the router. On the left hand side you can see different interfaces which are present. Okay, these are various interface cards that you can insert in your slot 0 or slot 1. If for instance you want to connect your router to a WAN link, then in that case you will require a serial port on your router. Your router by default will not have the serial port. If you need the serial port on your router, you need to insert either WIC2T or WIC1T, either of these cards you will have to insert in your slots. Okay, so you can insert any one card in any one slot. For inserting your cards in the slot, you first need to switch off your device. Once you switch off your device, after that you can just drag your card and place it in the slot. This is WIC 2T. WIC 2T will give you 2 serial ports. WIC 1T will give you a single serial port. So depending upon your requirement, you can use either of these. Once you have inserted your card in the slot, you can then switch on your device. You can go to the CLI of the router. So here you can see different tabs. You can go into CLI. When you go into CLI, you can see this device is going to enter in the basic management setup mode because it did not find the startup configuration. Initially, when your router boots up the first time, it will not have any startup configuration. Only when you make some configuration on your device and you save those configurations, then only you would be creating your startup configuration. Okay, so if you are going to create some startup configuration, then the next time when your device boots up, it will not enter into the basic management setup mode. It can directly read the configuration file from NVRAM and start from there. Okay, so next you can also see this config. When you click on this config, you can see you have got settings that you can make using GUI. Okay, you can simply click on any interface. When you click on that interface, you can make configurations to that interface. Like for example, you want to give the IP address for a particular interface, say fast Ethernet 00. Then in that case, you simply have to click on your fast Ethernet interface and you can provide IP address here. So we will first take a look at the basic commands and the different modes which are available if you are going to use the CLI or the command line interface. And once we are done with this, then we will move ahead with the actual configurations on the device. Okay. So to start with, whenever you start your router and you go to the CLI or the command line interface, you first enter into this user exec mode. Okay, so this is going to be represented using the host name of your device and a greater than sign. This is the user exec mode. In the user exec mode, you can have or you can view a basic configurations made on your device. Next, if you want to view some detailed configurations which are made on your device, you need to enter into the privilege exec mode. To enter into the privilege exec mode, from the user exec mode, you need to type the command enable. This command will take you to the privilege exec mode. In the privilege exec mode, you can view some detailed configurations which are being done on your device. You cannot make any configurations on your device either from user exec or privilege exec mode. In order to make some configuration changes on your device, you need to enter the global configuration mode. You can enter the global configuration mode using configure terminal command in the privilege mode. On your global configuration mode, you can make different types of configurations, like you can set host name for your device. You can also set IP addresses for your interfaces by going into the interface configuration mode. You can go to the interface configuration mode from the global configuration mode only. Okay, so we'll first take a look at some basic commands. I'll go to my packet tracer. Here I have got the router placed. Okay, so we will start the router again. That is, we'll boot up the router again. So I'll switch off and switch on my device and I'll move to the CLI. Here you can see that my image is self-decompressing. Okay, that is, my router is booting up. So while booting up, it first performed post. Next, it is going to locate the IOS, and once it locates the IOS is going to be stored in a compressed form. It is going to decompress the IOS. After decompressing, it will load the IOS, and once loaded, it is going to display all of the details of this device. Okay, so what is the iOS version present on this device? Okay, what is the copyright of it? When was it compiled? You can also see some hardware configuration details of your device. Okay, so you are going to get all of these details once the iOS has started. Okay, so once iOS is being loaded, it will throw all this configurations to you. Next, it is going to take you to the basic management setup if you press yes here. Okay, so this is your basic management setup mode. So if you want to go, you can enter a yes. You are inside your basic management setup mode. Here you can directly provide some configurations. So when it asks you to provide a host name for your router, you can provide host name for your router. If you want to provide some password, you can provide some password to your router. Okay, so if you are going to complete all of these management setup, after that only these configurations will get saved. But if you do not want to configure your router from this mode, basic management setup mode, and you want to configure your router directly from the command line interface, then in that case you will have to exit out of this mode. In order to exit out of this mode, you need to do a Control-C. So this is going to take you to the command line interface. So when you enter the command line interface, the first mode that you enter into is the user exec mode, which is represented by the host name. Router is the default host name for your Cisco router. So this is the host name followed by a greater than. This is the user exec mode. You can do a question mark in order to see which are the commands allowed in this mode. You can see you are allowed only very few basic commands. Okay, so these basic commands are only allowed in this mode. That is, you can do a ping, you can do a trace route, or you can do a show. Okay, the show command will show you some basic configurations which are done on your device. So you can do a show followed by all of these. Okay, if you do a show history, it will show you history of commands in this mode. Show interfaces will show you details of the interfaces, and so on. Okay, but this is not the complete list of the show that you can show configurations that you can see. Okay, if you want to view all of the detailed configurations, then you need to enter into the privilege exec mode. Okay, the user exec mode is just a subset of the privilege exec mode. So you can use the enable command. You can either give the complete command, or you can give only half of the command and press enter. If you want the device to automatically complete the command for you, you can give half of the command and use a tab. The device will automatically complete the command for you. Okay, I'll press and enter. This will take me to the privilege exec mode. The privilege exec mode would be denoted by the host name of your device followed by a hash sign. In the privilege exec mode, you can view the detailed configurations of your device. Okay, you can do a show and a question mark. Okay, you can see that there are more number of configurations that can be viewed from this mode. In order to go to the global configuration mode, you have to use the command conft or configure terminal. Okay, conft can be used as a short form. You would be taken to this mode, okay, which is host name of the device, config, hash. This is the global configuration mode. From the global configuration mode, you can do all of the configurations of your device. We will set a host name to our device first. So my host name of the device, I'll change it to R1. You can see the host name got changed to R1. Next, we will copy the configurations from the running configuration mode to startup configuration mode. You need to do this from the privilege exec mode. In order to exit out of the current mode and go to the previous mode, you need to use the command exit. This will take you to one level up. In my privilege exec mode, I can use the command copy. In order to copy my running configurations, that is the configurations that I am currently making on my device. So the host name, this is the current configuration that I have made on the device. So in order to copy this configuration to the startup configuration, you need to use the copy running config startup config, or you can give a short form as copy run start. When you use this command, you would be asked for the destination file name. By default, it is startup config. So I'll just keep it same as it is and I'll enter. Okay, so this time my configurations have been saved. Okay, the running configurations are just temporary configurations which are stored in RAM. If you switch off and switch on your device, your configurations will be lost. Okay, if you want to make your configurations permanent, you need to store them in your NVRAM, and hence you use this copy run start command. Your configurations get saved from the RAM onto the NVRAM, that is from running config to startup config. Okay, so now even if I switch off and switch on my device, my current configuration will not be lost. Next, we will move on to banner. You can set some banners, that is when you enter into your device or when someone enters into your device. If you want to give some warning message, then in that case you can use something called as a banner. We will be using the message of the day banner. Okay, in order to set the message of the day banner, you use the command banner MOTD. This is going to be followed by the text that you want to display as a warning when someone tries to enter your device. The text that you want to display, you would be entering the text here with some delimiting characters. Okay, so as to tell the device what is the start of the text and what is the end of the text. Okay, so you can use any delimiting characters, use some kind of delimiting character which you are not going to use in the message. Okay, that is, for example, if I use dollar as my delimiting character and if I use a dollar sign in between my message, then in that case everything post this second dollar sign will not be visible on my banner, right? Because the device will take only whatever is present between these two delimiting characters as the text message to be displayed in the banner. Okay, so you need to take care that your delimiting character is only the first and the last, not in between the text. I'll use a warning message, do not enter the device. Okay, so you need to give only some short warning messages here. Do not provide long warning messages because that is going to be stored in your NVRAM and it is going to take space. Okay, it will take some amount of memory from your NVRAM for storing this message. So do not use very long messages if not required. Okay, so I have given this message, and if I want to check this, I will exit out from my device. To exit out, you can use logout. So you are now out of your device, and now if you want to log in again, you can press enter. You can see that you get this message being displayed. Do not enter the device. This is the banner message. Next, Let us move on to some other commands. You can use the show history command. Show history command will show you the history of the commands that you have used in that particular mode. Okay, so whatever commands you have used in your global configuration, if you want to view those, then you will have to do a show history in the global configuration. Okay, in the global configuration you have to append do before your show commands. Okay, so here I have used only these commands. In my privilege exec mode, if I want to view what commands I have used, so these are the commands that I have used in my privilege exec mode. Next is show terminal. If you want to view details of your current terminal, then in that case you can use the show terminal command. Next is show run. If you want to view your current configurations, that is the configuration stored in the running configuration or the RAM, then in that case you will use the command show run. If you want to view the configuration stored in the NVRAM, then you can use show start. Then you can view show version in order to check the version of the iOS and a few details of iOS using show version command. If you want to check which are the neighbors connected to your device, you can use show CDP neighbor command. CDP is Cisco Discovery Protocol. Cisco uses this protocol in order to speak to its directly connected neighbors. Okay, so if my two devices which are directly connected, both of them are Cisco devices, then these devices will gather each other's information and you can view that information using the show CDP command, show CDP neighbor command. So I'll just go to my device. Okay, so currently I do not have any devices connected. If I do a show CDP neighbor, you can see that currently I do not have any devices connected. So currently I do not have anything populated in the table. If I connect some device, say a switch, to my router, on my router, if I'm going to use any interface, then I first have to make that interface to come up, because by default all of my router's interfaces are administratively down. Okay, so this interface that I have connected, if I need to view which is this interface that is being connected, I have got two fast Ethernet interfaces, right? So which one is connected? If I need to view that, you can go to option, preferences, always show port labels. So that is going to show you the port labels. So this is my fast Ethernet 00 interface. In order to go to the fast Ethernet 00 interface, I first need to go to the global configuration mode, and then from the global configuration mode, I am going to use the command interface fast Ethernet 00. Okay, you can use this short forms as INT FA00, or you can give it completely as interface space fast Ethernet space 00. This will take you to the interface configuration mode. So in this mode, I need to give a no shutdown command. No shutdown command will bring up my interface. So you can see that this interface has turned green and other interface has turned orange from red, and then it will turn green. Okay, so switch interfaces take some time to come up because of STP protocol that is being run on the switches. We are going to look at the details of that protocol and why it takes some time for the interfaces to come up when we are going to do switching concepts. So now you can see both my interfaces are green. That means both the interfaces have come up. Now my devices must have exchanged CDP packets with each other and have gathered information of each other. So I'll go to my router and I'll use the show CDP command. Okay, so you need to use exit command to go one step up. If you want to directly go to the privilege exec mode from any other mode, then you can use Control Z. Okay, so I can use Control Z. I'll directly land into the privilege exec mode. In my privilege exec mode, I'll do a show CDP neighbor. Now you can see that switch details are being populated in my CDP table. Next, we will view the details of the interface. Okay, so we can view the details of the interfaces using the show interface command. If you want to view specifically the IP details of your interface, then you can use the show IP interface command. Okay, so we will now take a look at the difference between these two commands. I'll go to the interface configuration and I'll make some changes to my fast Ethernet interface. I'll add an IP address for this interface as 192.168.1.1 with subnet mask of /24 or 255.255.255.0. So this is the IP address that I have given to my interface. Now I'll come out of this mode and I need to view the details of my interfaces. I can use the show interfaces command followed by the interface number. So you can see this is the detailed information about your fast Ethernet 00 interface. Okay, so this will give you the hardware details, the encapsulation details that is being used on this interface, the packets which are being received and sent out of this interface. Okay, so all of those details you can view using the show interface followed by the interface number command. But if you want to view the IP configuration details of this device, then in that case you need to use the command show IP interface brief. Okay, so this command is going to give you the IP details of all of the interfaces present on this device. So these are the interfaces which are present on this device. You can see the IP details. I have provided IP address only to fast Ethernet 00. So that is what you can view from here. You can also see the status as well as the protocol. We have done a no shut on the fast Ethernet port and hence we can see the status and protocol are up. But for rest of the interfaces where I have not brought up the interfaces are administratively down and the protocol also is down. Next, let us take a look at how to configure the serial interface. For configuring the serial interface, we not just have to provide the IP address and the no shit command, but we also need to provide the clock rate because we are going to use the serial interface for connecting our WAN links. On the WAN links, one side of the link is going to be a DCE, which is data circuit terminating equipment or data communication equipment. On the other side, we have got DTE, which is data terminal equipment. The DCE would send the clock rate to the DTE for synchronization purpose. And hence we need to provide clock rate at DCE. We do not need to provide the clock rate at the DTE side of the connection. Okay, so for taking a look at the configurations, we will first use one more router so that we can connect these two routers using WAN link. Okay, on one of the router I already have my serial ports present because I have used this WIC2T card. On the other router also I am going to insert my WIC2T card and I'll start the router. So now I have got serial interface present on this router as well. You need to have serial ports on both the routers if you want to connect WAN links between them. So I'll just use my connector and I'll connect a WAN link. On my WAN connection, you can see on the one side of the connection there is a clock symbol that is seen. So this is my DCE side and the other side is my DTE side. I need to provide the clock rate at the DCE side, not the DTE side. So I'll open this router configuration first and I'll configure the serial 010 interface of this router. I'll go to the interface serial 010 interface configuration mode and I'll provide an IP address, say 10.1.1.0/27 or /30, which is 255.255.255.252. Okay, so this is going to be one side of my WAN. So consider that I'm going to use 10.1.1.0/30 network here. Okay, so if I'm going to use the 10.1.1.0/30 network, on one side I'm using 10.1.1.1, on other side I'll use 10.1.1.2. Okay, so on this side I have configured IP address and configure the no-shut command. Okay, so you can see that I get a message saying that state changed to down even if I have used the no-shut command. I'll just view the interface configurations using the show IP interface brief. Since I am using the show IP interface brief command from a mode other than the privilege exec mode, I need to append a do to it. Here you can see that I have provided the IP address and now the state is not administratively down, it is down. Okay, administratively down means an administrator have to use the no-shut command to bring up the interface. But if the status is down and the protocol is down, that means there is some problem with this interface. I'll use a clock rate. In order to provide the clock rate, you need to use the command clock rate, and you also need to specify the rate. Okay, the rate can be specified only from amongst the values that you can see here. Okay, so for example, if you want to provide a clock rate of 4800, okay, you have to provide this value. You cannot provide a clock rate say of 4000, which you cannot see here. Okay, you have to provide the clock rate only amongst these values that you can see here. Okay, so I'll provide a clock rate of 64,000. Next, I need to configure this side of the interface as well. On this side, I have serial 010 being used. So I'll enter into the interface configuration mode of this router. I'll provide the IP address 10.112/30 is 255.255.255.252. I'll provide no-shut command. Okay, so you can see now the interface state has changed to up. Okay, the same on this router, if you go and check, you will find that the state changed to up. Okay, so I'll do a show IP interface brief command again. Now you can see the status is up and the protocol is up. That means the connection is correctly established between these two. So that is how you can configure your serial interfaces. Next, if you want to ping your devices, you can use the ping command. You can use the ping command either from your privilege exec mode or from the user exec mode as well. Okay, so you can use the ping command. I am currently on 10111. Okay, so which is this interface, which is 10111. I need to ping this interface, so I'll ping 10112. And since the connection is correctly established, I need to get a reply from it. So I'll do a ping 10112. So you can see that I'm getting a reply and it is successfully able to ping. Next, you can use traceroute command if you want to check all of the hops in between the two endpoints. So I do traceroute 10112. Since this is directly connected, I have a single hop present. Next, we can view the routing table which is built on the router using show IP route command. When you do show IP route command, you get the routing table which is present by default on my routers. Okay, you can see it has got only directly connected interfaces present in the routing table by default. We are going to take a look at details of the routing when we are going to do the routing session in detail. Next, let us move on to setting of passwords for the Cisco router. In order to set password for your Cisco router, you can set password for either your privilege exec mode or for your user exec mode itself. If you want to set your password for the user exec mode, then in that case, you have to set password for your console. Okay, so if you are directly connected using the console port of your router to the computer, then in that case you would be configuring a console password. If you are connected to your router via a modem using the auxiliary port of the router, then in that case, in order to set your user mode password, you need to set the auxiliary password. And if you are connected to the router using telnet, then in that case, you would be using your telnet password if you want to set the user exec password. Now let us take a look at how to set these different types of password on the Cisco router. So I'll use this router. On this router, I do not have any passwords configured. So if I log out of my device and I enter, I am directly able to enter into my device. Okay. So if I have got a password, that will not allow me to enter into the user exec mode unless I am authenticated. That is called the user mode password. If I set a password that will not allow me to enter into the privilege exec mode without being authenticated, that is called as the privilege mode password. Okay, so first we'll take a look at how to set the privilege mode password. For setting the privilege mode password, you need to go to the global configuration mode. You need to use the command enable password followed by the password that you want to set. I'll set a password Cisco. Now I have my password being set. Now if I am out of my device and I try to enter into the privilege exec mode, you can see I am allowed to enter into the user exec mode directly without checking for the password because I did not set the user mode password. Here if I do an enable, you can see it does not allow me to directly enter into the privilege exec mode. It is going to ask me for a password. I need to enter my password. When you enter the password, you will not be able to see the password that is being entered. Okay. You simply have to enter the password and do an enter. If you have entered the password correctly, you would be taken to the privilege exec mode. Now, if you want to check all of the configurations, you can check the same using the show run command. When I do a show run command, you can see that I have got the host name enabled and I have also enabled the password. Now here you can see the password is in plain text. If someone tries to check the configurations, he would be able to get the password which I have set for this device. So that is not usually a desirable case. You want your password to be encrypted when it is being saved on your device. If you want to save your password in encrypted format, you need to use the command enable secret. Okay, so first I will remove the password that I have set here. In order to remove the password that is being set, I need to negate the command. If you want to negate any commands that you have used on your device, you simply have to append a no forget command. Okay, so no enable password. This command is going to disable the password that is being set. You can check the same using do share run. You can see that now I do not see the password being set. I'll enable the password such that the password is going to be saved as a ciphertext, not in plain text format. So for doing that, you need to use enable secret command. Enable secret command is used to set a privilege mode password. Only difference between enable password and enable secret is that when you enable a privilege mode password using enable secret command, your password is stored in the device in encrypted format. I'll use the same password. Now if I do show run, you can see the password is in an encrypted format. So no one will be able to get this password. Okay, I'll just log out of my device and I'll try to enter into the privilege exec mode. It will ask me for a password. So I need to enter the password, press enter, it will take me to the privilege exec mode. Next, let us take a look at how to set password for your user mode. If you want to enable password for your user exec mode, you need to set password either for your console, for your aux, or for your telnet lines, depending upon how you have connected your device, or depending upon how possibly your device would be connected to a computer for configuration purpose. It is always a good idea to set password for all of the three modes. In order to set password for the console lines, we will have to go to the line console mode. You need to provide a number, okay, for your console. So currently I have got only one option, so I'll use the line console 0. I need to provide the password. You can provide the password using the password command. So I'll use the command password. Post that, I need to provide some kind of a password. Okay, so I'll provide the password Cisco itself. Right now I have just set some password, but this password is not going to be checked because I have not enabled password checking. In case of setting a password for your user exec mode, once you set the password, you also need to enable password check. You do the enabling of password check using the login command. If you do not use the login command, your password is not going to be checked before entering into the user exec mode. So you will directly be able to enter into the user exec mode. So only using this single command is not going to be of any help to you. You also need to use the login command. Also, one more thing that you need to remember is that if you use the login command without setting the password and you directly try to enter into the user exec mode, it is not going to allow you to enter into the user exec mode because you did not set a password to be checked, and it will try checking for the password. Okay, so that case is not going to allow you to enter into the device at all. Hence, always make it a habit to set the password first and then use the login command. Now I'll exit out of my device and I'll try entering my device. you can see it is not going to directly take me to the user exec mode. It is asking me for a password because I have set the console password. I'll use the password that I have set and I'll do an enter. It takes me to the user exec mode. I'll do an enable. It again asks for a password. This is the privilege mode password. It takes me to the privilege exec mode. In the same way, you can configure the auxiliary password using line aux. This also needs a number. So right now I have got a single option, so I'll give a line aux 0. I need to provide a password here. You provide the password in the same way that you had provided password for your console line. That is, you provide a password and then you use the login command. The same applies for your TTY lines as well. So in order to provide a telnet password, you need to go into the line TTY mode. Okay, so on my simulator, I do not have any physical hardware support for that, so I will not be able to set the password. But for setting the password, you simply have to enter into your TTY, what line you are using for your TTY or your terminal, and you have to set the password in the very same way using the password command followed by the login command. So that was about setting of your passwords. Next, let us move on to password recovery. You would require to recover the password in case if you forget your password. So in case if you forget your password that you had used, then in that case you need to perform a password recovery. To perform the password recovery, you need to set the 6th bit in the configuration register to 1. That is, you use the configuration register 2142 for entering your device. When you use the configuration register 2142 for entering your device, at that time your NVRAM configurations are ignored. Your device will boot up without using the NVRAM configurations. By default, the configuration register value that is being used is 2102. When you use the value 2102 for your configuration register, we have seen that my device is going to load using the NVRAM configurations, that is using the startup configurations. Now, if I have saved my password in my startup configuration, that password has got saved in the NVRAM. So if I try booting my device using the NVRAM configurations, it will not allow me to enter because it will keep checking the password. But if I ignore the NVRAM configurations totally and I try to enter into my device will directly take me inside. But I will not be able to view any of the configurations directly because those are not present as running configurations initially. So I need to copy all of my configurations from startup config, that is from the NVRAM, onto my running config, that is onto my RAM. This is going to bring all of the configurations, including the password configurations, into my running configuration. Okay, but right now I am there into my device, so I do not need to worry. Okay, so once I have entered into my device, I am bringing in all of the configurations inside my running configuration. Once I have brought in all of my configurations into my running configurations, next I am going to remove the password that was set earlier and set a new password. Once I set a new password, I then need to save these configurations. So I will copy my running configurations back to my startup configuration. And once I have copied my running configuration to startup configuration, the startup configuration will have the new password that I have set now. So now I need to change my configuration register value back to the default, that is 2102, and then start my router. When I start my router with the configuration register value 2102, my router is going to check for the NVRAM and it is going to use the startup configuration for configuring the router. Okay, so now my router is going to ask me for a password before entering. This time I am going to provide the password that I have set, the new password that I have set. Using this new password, I would be able to enter into my device. So that is the process of password recovery. Let us take a look at the same on Packet Tracer. I have made some changes on this device. So if I do a show run, I am able to see that I have set some password. I have also made some interface configurations on this device. Okay, so I need to save all of these configurations. So I'll copy running configuration to my startup configuration. Okay, so all of my changes on this device are now permanent. Okay, I also have set a console mode password, and the console mode password would be visible in plain text format. Okay, so remember that if you have set your console mode password, by default the password would be stored in plain text format. We'll just do a show run. Okay, you can see the line console password. The password is stored in plain text format. If you want to encrypt all of these passwords, you need to use the command service password encryption. Okay, so this command is going to be used to encrypt all of your user mode passwords. That is your console password, auxiliary password and TTY password. If you want to encrypt all of these passwords, you need to use the command service password encryption. So I'll use this command. I'll do a show run. You can see that the passwords are now encrypted. Okay, I will do a copy run start. So I have saved all of my configurations to my startup configuration. Now suppose that you have forgotten your password. Okay, if I log out of my device and I seem to have forgotten my password, I will not be allowed to enter into my device. Right, it is going to throw bad passwords. I will not be allowed to enter into my device. In such cases, you might want to do a password recovery. In order to do a password recovery, you need to go to the physical and reboot this device. Okay, so that is, you are going to hard reboot your device. You just switch off and switch on your power button, and then you are going to enter into the device in the ROM monitor mode. For entering into ROM monitor mode, while your device is booting up, at that time you need to do a break. Okay, you can use a control break to break into the ROM monitor mode. So I'll just reboot my device and I'll use a control break. So while this hash sign is there, you need to do a control break. When you do a control break, at that time you would be taken to this ROM monitor mode. Okay, so this is similar to the BIOS of your computer. Okay, so this is a ROM monitor mode, and in this mode you can change your configuration register values. So I'll change the configuration register value to 0x2142. Okay, by default the configuration register value is 0x2102. If you want to boot up your device without using the NVRAM configurations, you use the register value 2142, and then I'll do a reset. That is going to reboot my device, and now my device is going to be rebooted without using the NVRAM configurations. That is, it is going to ignore the startup configuration. So you can see I'm getting this right? It is taking me to the basic setup management mode. Okay, so I'll just do a no because I do not want to enter into my basic management setup mode. And when I do a enter, I am not asked for a password. It is directly allowing me inside my router. Okay, so you can see I am able to go into my global configuration mode to do setups. Okay, I will first copy my startup configuration to my running configuration, because here my running configuration is empty. It does not have any configurations made. Okay, so if I just set password here, it will not help. Okay, I need to get my startup configurations because I do not want to lose rest of my configurations. I just need to reset my password without losing the other configurations. So I will copy my startup configuration to my running configuration. Now that I have brought my startup configuration to running configuration, I'll do a show run. You can see all of the configurations are present here. Okay, I have my interface configurations, my banners, my host name, everything is present here. Okay, and now I am just going to reset my password. If I want to reset my console mode password, I'll go into my line console mode. Okay, so this is my console mode. Here I'll first do a no password. Okay, so the earlier password is being removed. I'll also do a no login, so that the login should not stay enabled when my password is being removed. Okay, so that is just for safety purpose. And then I'll set a new password. Okay, so once I have set my new password, I am again going to enable login. I'll exit out of this mode. And suppose if I also want to reset my privilege mode password, I'm going to do that from my global configuration mode. So I'll first do a no enable secret since I have set the secret. And then I'll do a enable secret again, and I'll provide the new password. Okay, so I'll provide the new password as pass. And I'll do a show run. Okay, I have got my secret set, and I also should have my console mode password set. Okay, so I have both of my passwords being set. And now these configurations are present in my running configuration. I need to save them back to my startup configuration. So I'll copy it from running to startup. Okay, so my password reset is being done on my startup configuration file. Now I need to reboot my router, and I also need to change the configuration register value back to 0x2102. So I'll again do a hard reboot. I'll enter into the ROM monitor mode, and I'll change my configuration register value to 0x2102, and I'll do a reset. So this is going to set the configuration register value back to 0x2102, that it is going to use the startup configuration register to have all of the configurations done on the device when it is being booted. So when I do a enter, it is asking me for a password. This time I need to use the password that I have reset. Okay, I need to use my new password. So I'll just use my new password that I have set for my console mode, which is June, and for my privilege exec mode, which is pass. So I am able to enter into my device. So that is about password recovery. So we have come to the end of the session. Thanks for watching. Please leave your comments. It would help me to create better videos for you.